guys at eManual Online have sent down a manual for this, so use code Jamie22 with the link in the description, get you 22% off. Over 2.5 million repair manuals and over 5.5 million happy clients. eManuals Online is the only place to get your repair and maintenance manuals, down from cars to engine specific manuals all the way over to motorbike manuals. To keep up with all of your prized possessions, you are able to get every single manual you could ever want at your fingertips. Just like my VW Touareg, I'm able to download specific parts that I'm going to need. So I think the window regulator on the driver's side is on its way out. So I can very easily go onto the eManuals Online portal and actually download the whole breaking down of that side of the car. So I'm able to know where all the bolts are, to take the door card off and get to the window mode. But I wouldn't have known that if eManuals Online wasn't here. So that is preempting me to know full well what I need to do to fix that window. It's definitely on its way out. I've got this feeling. But it's stuff like this, it's tips like that, knowing exactly what's going to happen when you do pull that door card off, even before you pull the door card off, where those bolts are, to get it all out, get it all done, and then not being stuck on your driveway like I usually am, trying to fix something and I haven't got the right tools. I can look into the eManual Online and see what I need before I even start it. Just like the turbocharger we did on this car, it was a full breakdown, how to get the turbocharger off and how to refit it. It was a great step-by-step instruction of how to take off that turbocharger, put the new one on. There is a link in the description. Support them because they support us on the channel by sponsoring today's video. Use code on screen right now to give you a bit of discount. Again, link is in the description. But anyway, back to the video. So guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are overviewing, reviewing my new to me-ish daily driver. This is a 2003-2004, so a 53 plate base model VW Touareg. Now, when I went to buy this, I thought it was the 3 litre, and I've said this a lot of times on the channel when I've done videos on this car. I didn't know they did a 2.5 until I owned this one. So I will point that out straight away. This is the 2.5 version, so it's a 5-cylinder diesel engine. We'll get into the driving characteristics of this vehicle once we go on the road, but 2003, 2004, so, you know, first gen, you know, the real start of the VW Touareg in this generation. Pretty much a Mark IV Golf inside, if I'm honest. Everything is from that era of VW, you know, say early 2000s, maybe late 90s, early 2000s VW. It is a nice place to be there, and I think that generation of VW is, you know, standing the test of time. Some of the buttons aren't, don't get me wrong. You know, the wear and tear of this car is not that bad. 77,000 miles on this one though, so relatively, I would say that's on the lower end of the mileage. I assume, you know, by, you know, 150 easily, you know, over 100,000 miles very easily on these. And in that 77,000 miles, the first thing I want to say is this car, I bought it with a blown turbo, so maybe that's something to look into if you are after buying one of these. Check if the turbos go. Maybe that's something that just happened to this one. But at 77,000 miles, I'd like to think that you would get a lot more use out of a VW product from this generation, especially from the turbocharger. Other than that, today I'm actually shooting this video before we do anything else to it. So all I've got is a back box delete on it, which pretty much does absolutely nothing to the sound and the performance of the vehicle. It doesn't really do anything to the performance, but it definitely sounds a little bit fruitier, but nothing to write home about. You can't even hear it inside, if I'm honest. But I wanted to grab it today before we do anything else as a factory standard budget daily car, because I feel like it's quite a good one to throw out there into the internets, because these are cheap now. You know, you sub £2,000, you will easily get one of these high mileage, maybe ones with a better spec than this. Again, this is a cloth spec. No tinted windows. I have the bill of receipt from when this car was new. It had metallic paint, a chrome pack, a boot liner. I think that was it. It's had absolutely no options on it whatsoever. So you've got smaller wheels. It hasn't got a body kit on it. It hasn't got roof rails. It's got no heated seats. So, you know, bear that in mind when I'm shooting and I'm talking about this car, because it is it's scraping the barrel of probably the most entry-level one you could ever buy. But let's get on the road and start her up. I will, oh, it's cold today, so we'll turn that back down. Yeah, let's take it for a drive, and I'll talk about the daily aspects of this vehicle more than anything, and what it's actually like for me to drive it the past 2 months. It's been pretty good. Let's get on the road. things to touch on straight away about the driving characteristics that I've noticed while driving this thing around, if you're after buying one, sort of relaying how I've been driving this and how I've been, you know, using it. Now, you'll see from the outside shots, it's dirty. There's loads of stuff in this. I daily drive this. We put all the kids in it. We put all the stuff in it. It's the sort of go-to car that I'm using at the moment to do everything. So, you know, it being January, it's covered in road salt, dirt, grime. The inside is, you know, it's kept up together, but there's lots of marks everywhere, you know, because we use this thing. And I would say straight away, from a family point of view, this is a great car for that. Can very easily get my kids in the back because, you know, I've had an X6 in the past, cut down back, that hasn't got that, so it's a boxy era car, I would say. Funnily enough, and if you haven't watched the channel before, I have owned 2 Porsche Cayennes, the V8 variants. This being a 2.5 diesel, we are seeing healthy MPG numbers versus V8, you know, Cayennes. This is getting about 26, 27 around town. I did have it over 30 very, very easily the other day. The only drawback is, though, that 2.5 does run out of puff. I am going to be taking it on a larger road trip in the next couple of months on the motorway. So we don't have many motorways on the Isle of Wight, unfortunately, but it means then I can really get a grasp as to what it's like at cruising speed. I do a lot of 40 to 60 stuff, but I don't do, you know, 70 mile an hour cruising and putting your foot down. So between the 40 and the 60, I'd say it's all right. It's not too bad. There is, you know, it is a little bit slower than I'd want it to be, but that's down to my incompetence of not knowing that there was a 2.5 variant, thinking this was a 3 litre variant, which I would have rather. I think if you're going to get one, get the V6, get the 3 litre V6. It seems like to be the best all-rounder. You can get, in the UK, the V10 diesel, which is an absolute monster of an engine. I'd love to have a go in one, but the other side of it is, if it's a daily car, you know, MPG numbers and all that. But it drives like a mid-2000s VW. It's quiet in here, it's comfortable. I must admit, when I bought this, I'm not a fan of that cloth. I'd rather leather and heated seats and stuff. I'm actually starting to warm to these cloth base model seats. They're actually really comfortable. I haven't been, you know, uncomfy on journeys. I haven't really reached for a heated seat button, which is quite nice. I'm a big heated seat fan. This, you know, model doesn't have it. I would say going forward, though, if you're after buying one, definitely get one with maybe leather and the heated seats. If it isn't a massive option, you're not that bothered, the cloth is a nice place to be. It's actually worn really well, this cloth. Again, it's 78, we're over 78,000 miles now, and it's pretty new. It feels pretty new in here. It's not been used too much, it's not too scratched up. It's actually quite nice inside. And as we come to a stop at a traffic light, so this is what I do day in, day out, the automatic gearbox, it's not gonna light the world on fire. It doesn't change gear rapidly, but it won't. It's a, you know, it's an early 2000s, late 90s automatic gearbox in a 4x4, so it is good. I will say, more than anything though, it does make life easy, and that's sort of why I bought this car. Is big, relatively good on diesel, pretty good on diesel in my books. You do have a cool couple of features in this. So you have oil temperature, water temperature, you've got a fuel gauge, you've got a voltmeter there, all inside the cluster in front of you. Cruise control on this as well, so for a budget daily, that's really good to have. Steering controls as well. No automatic lights in this one, but I just flick them on every time I get in the car. And you've also got 2 sun visors, so we'll pull that one round. There we go, because I need that. And one here. How cool is that? And you've got a little one here that goes just next to the mirror. That's cool. Yeah, little features like that. It is, you know, as a budget car, it's cool to have something like that. It just makes life a little bit nicer, doesn't it? Outside styling, I will say I prefer a Cayenne a lot more than this. I think it's a little bit meh. It just sort of fits in, especially with the wheat beige paint that this one has. It is very fitty-inny, I'm going to call it. It doesn't shout anything as it goes down the road, but it's quite nice to have something like that sometimes. You know, you're not trying to win any races in it. You're not trying to prove to everyone you've made loads of money or whatever it is. You've got some finance car or whatever. It just does what it says on the tin, this car, which is why I'm sort of really warm to it recently. I just jump in it, you throw the diesel in and just keep going, and that's sometimes a really nice thing, considering I've had so many cars that really don't do that. They always need fuel, they always need something doing. You're worried about potholes. This thing, you can just sort of send it through anything. Tyres ain't that expensive for this, so it's actually really nice and slightly easy to have something like this as a daily driver when you have maybe other cars, or if this is your sole car. I would say it would do everything as well. I haven't been stumped with, you know, putting bikes and scooters in the boot. I haven't been stumped trying to fit stuff in this thing, which is really, really nice. I've had a lot of cars, a lot of 4x4s where I've gone, oh, I can't quite get. And the biggest thing, and I will say this now, is it cruises. It cruises really nicely. If you're, you know, just chilling, talking to the missus, kids are in the back, it's all good. It's actually the perfect car for that, and it ain't loads of money. And this is the thing I keep saying at the moment, the world is a funny place. Cars like this are what people really need in their households. It might not be most desirable, I know that. I've owned tons of cars and this isn't the most desirable spec. It's a terrible colour, it doesn't really look that flashy, it's not the nicest thing driving around in, but my god does it do the job. And that is literally sometimes the best thing about some cars, is they are ticking the box when you actually need it the most. Now if you are after one, I'd say probably, and as I've already said, V6, they do really nice kits for these. So if you wanted to spend a little bit more money, say you're, you know, 3-4 grand maybe, we'll get you into a really nice one of these with the V6, full leather. You probably get a sunroof, all that good stuff. I think that's a shout though. That's where you want to be in one of these. This, if you've only got this money to spend on a daily and, you know, you want to drive into the ground or whatever it is, this would be the perfect car for that. You can throw the mileage on it, and as we come into a rocky car park full of potholes and stuff, I ain't even bothered. And it's so nice to have something like that. I say it all the time though, like, I love cars, I love doing stuff in cars, but sometimes you just need that vehicle. You can drive around a bumpy car park and not really care. Anyway guys, we're going to leave today's video there. Thank you so much for watching this sort of overview review of the last 2 months of me driving this around. Very good car this, and I would say if you are on a budget, this would be the perfect sort of 4x4 for it. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.